Yeah, I know.
Hello,
I thought this was supposed to
everyone,
be at 7 o'clock.
and
I thought
welcome to the
it
Monday
now.
edition of the Great Debate. Today, we have another little squirrel with
I'm
us
just
named
going to be on
TA.
for like 10 minutes and I'm going to go. I got to go to work. So.
All right, that works. You there?
Oh, this just isn't fucking working.
Uh-oh.
This might be
Technical
over sooner than
difficulties.
later.
Can you hear me? Hello. I think he tried to split screen the show as well as the Hangout, and I think it swapped his audio over. I can still hear him. I don't know if he can hear me.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you just fine. We're live.
Awesome, bro.
All right. Well, let's first start by saying hello to everybody in the chat. I'm so glad everybody pops in early and messes with the bots when they are running. Welcome the Raven to the chat. Who else did we have in here earlier today? TC came by to mess with the bots. That's always appreciated. Of course, Adam was also in here. So, everybody knows how this game goes. Everybody is welcome to be a contestant. Just get hold of me like TA did, and we will set you up for the next show. I'll have up to 2 guests if I can set it up. Other than that, you guys know how this goes. What we're going to do next is, in all of my infinite NumbedSkull fuckery, we are going to try and start this board up. Like this. No, like this. Maybe.
Welcome to the Great Debate.
As most of us know already, there are 3 categories containing 6 topics in each, with a total of 18 topics on the board. Underneath each topic there is a question or a comment, and we will discuss that for about 400 seconds. Sorry, Ryan. We'll fix it later. With that being said, you now see the board. Where are we going to begin today's conversation?
Anybody?
No, it's all you.
Already
You are the one to pick. You are the guest. You
Oh,
are in charge of today's
Me?
board.
Oh, all right. I was looking in the chat to see what
Nope.
was going on. But
The
all
chat
right.
only gets to pick with no guests.
Okay, cool. Let's go with the internet.
The internet, where we all spend more time than we need to.
Yeah,
Is
big
being
time.
on the internet an implied consent to exposure of and subject to its worst as well as its best?
Most definitely.
So, here's a weird one. You get people that say when you get online that you shouldn't be subject to the hatred or the volatility that's on the internet. But wouldn't then involving yourself knowingly in a situation where there's hate and volatility, wouldn't exposing yourself to that purposefully be implied consent?
I would think so. I agree
Yeah.
with that. Totally.
And so, what is this argument? Now, I hear this a lot in different contexts, obviously. Maybe you can help me try to decipher why this is. Why are people complaining so harshly to the point where we need laws, legislations, rules, mandates, restrictions? We have companies shadow banning people so what they say doesn't get seen by their whole audience. Wouldn't you assume that knowing the internet is availability of all the information and everything possible in the world, that you're going to be exposed to the bad things as well as the things you're looking for that could potentially be, in your mind, good? Why are people trying to make it so the internet's safer, knowing it's not?
Well, I think that right off the bat, people are taking their political views and making it their life. You know, they're way too involved in that sense, I believe. And then that carries on to, you know, their safe spaces and how coddled they were growing up. You know, they were taught to, you know, express their feelings, and it's kind of gotten a little carried away, I believe, with the millennials. Not the
There's a
harsh on
phrase.
millennials.
Well, there's a phrase. We all hopefully have heard it. If you haven't, then you're probably a millennial. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt
Words
me.
will never hurt me.
So, why do people feel so hurt by words? Oh, well, and in some cases, justified words. If you're 500 pounds, you're fat, ugly, and unattractive. You're hurting my feelings. That shouldn't be allowed. Well, I'm hurting your feelings to get you to change. Morally trying to push you to realize that what you're doing, I feel, is wrong. Well, I know will lead to health complications, and I know will probably lead to you suffering when you could avoid it. So why am I being mean?
Well, in some instances, I think that like being mean or like hurting somebody's feelings unintentionally, you know, it forces them to think maybe a little harder about the given topic or situation. But these days, they just, you know, that happens and they run, cower, and scream, "Re."
Yeah, and I've been trying to think this through too. I try to teach my kids this. So and so said I was stupid. Are you? Maybe. Well, then don't be stupid.
Exactly.
It's that easy. If you don't want to be stupid, what are you neglecting? Figure that out and work on it. If you don't want to be overweight, figure out what you're doing and working on it.
Exactly.
Let me stop real quick and say welcome, Gaius. Welcome, Ichabod. Hello again, Adam. People just
Hey, Adam
they
and
just
Ichabod.
want to whine. It's weird that I go on the internet to be exposed to the good and the bad and look for this information, look for the conversations and see what's being had. But then part of the conversation gets removed, not because someone said,
I'm sorry. This is...
Oh. You all right?
Oh, you talking to me? Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
It just seems that they're trying to portray it as what they're going through is much worse than what they're putting themselves through to be put in that position. For instance, there's reasons I won't show myself. Part of those reasons is I don't want people to look for a way to find me and make my life worse. I take that into account when I come on the internet. I make sure that I'm careful about some of the things I say and do. I'm careful about where I go and when I butt into a conversation. But if I feel like I have a valid opinion, I'm going to butt in there, and regardless of what my opinion is, I'm just going to say it. I'll attempt to be a little nice, but I'm going to come off like sandpaper. That's it. So I feel like I've implied my consent to see decapitated heads and blood and horrible things on the internet in exchange for me being able to find truth and information and statistics and all sorts of other stuff. Would you agree? Maybe. Do I need to talk louder? Hello, Daryl. How are you doing today? You mean aren't skull in a green... You aren't a skull in a green hoodie? I'm a skull in a bag of skin in a blue hoodie today. Ooh. Scroll, wake up, dude. I think everybody sort of understands what this is. And then we all see, obviously brought back up from Gamergate repeatedly, thanks to people who were in Gamergate that are still around and trying to reference what's going on with corrections in video games, television, media. We expect to see a certain amount of negative attributes to being on the internet, and we kind of imply our consent to be exposed to the possibility. People know that even if they don't watch porn, as soon as you register for anywhere on the internet or an email, the first thing you're going to get is links to porn. And even if you do watch porn, the links you get probably aren't the ones you're going to click on anyways, so it just happens. What's Gamergate? Gamergate is a debacle of people overthinking a situation and being hurt by everyday attributes of reality. That's all Gamergate is. And it's a talking point now. That's all anybody uses it for is a talking point. I used it as a reference talking point just then. I have no fucking clue the ins and outs of Gamergate, but I know it's a talking point to negatively attribute the people that are trying to change video games to encompass what they believe should be correct. But here we are back at the board, TA, and it is back to you to figure out what's the next conversation.
Let's see. Why don't we go with transportation?
Transportation. Where are we going?
To work.
To work. As the world moves into a new way to deliver goods, what will this do to trains and trucks? This is a question asked because one thing you see predominantly online is truck drivers that, well, starting to see it is truck drivers that are bored and do video logs or do streams, or families of truck drivers that do streams because their other half isn't around a lot. Maddie the news chick is a good one. She's going to be in the truck trying to do the stream like that. But you look at these positions, or hey, if you're on your way to work and you're on the road or near a road, watch it for an hour or two and see how many tractor trailers go by. If we get to a point where Amazon or even Walmart or other companies begin to deliver goods via automatic delivery systems, drones, and things like that, what's going to happen to the transportation and truck market? Are you with me?
Hold on. Yeah.
Okay. Well, to think it through, though,
Sorry,
let's put it this way. In New York City, delivery drivers have kind of fallen off for bike delivery messengers. They'll carry you your food. They'll carry messages, documents, plans. You can call them up. A bike will show up. They'll pick up your good. They'll ride it to the next location and drop it off. What happens when something like this happens with trucks and tractor trailers throughout the nation? It becomes too expensive to, on rail or on truck, haul cargo containers with massive shipments of various different products to the location. Instead, now you have drones. Instead of manufacturing and shipping it to the warehouse and then shipping it to the store and then you buying it and driving it home, now the drone is leaving the warehouse and taking it right to you because when you clicked order, it manufactured the product. Less traffic. They become used for special deliveries. Yeah, I don't think it will eliminate the truck market, obviously, because you'll still need to move massive amounts of stuff from time to time. There will always be trucks, but the expense of having a tractor trailer or a train deliver your goods is compiling so fast that companies are going to look for the alternative transportation methods. They're going to look for the drones and the bike messengers that can shorten the trip or relieve the cost of transporting the item to you. Would you agree? TA?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Would you? Yeah, a little fuzzier.
All right. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to multitask. I thought this was going to be on at 7 o'clock tonight.
Oh, no. This one's a morning show. Sorry. Mondays is the Great Debate's the one in the morning.
I'm psyched to be on. This is my first live stream. I'm having a blast.
I'm glad to have you. How do you feel about trucks being whittled down for digital non-person or transportation of goods for electronic delivery?
Trucks are a necessity. I mean, when it comes down to it, it's all the physical motion of goods and things like that, all the logistics and whatnot that are involved.
I don't think that they'll be eliminated. I think that we're going to see a drastic change in the way transportation of goods is. We know right now that in America, diesel costs more than gasoline. So in order to fill up that truck with materials and then fill it up with fuel, you're talking a few $100s to transport it just a couple 100 miles. The cost of that continues to go up. In order to bring somebody a quality product at a price they can afford, you're going to be clicking order on a website. It's going to manufacture it when you order it, much like Teespring or Streamlabs are doing right now with products, where they won't make it until it's clicked and ordered, and then your product is being created now, your product is being shipped, and then a drone shows up and drops a little roll of a t-shirt at your door.
That's so cool.
You're not going to see trucks go away, but you're going to see it
No,
die.
definitely not. You might see a small decrease in the trucking industry, but I don't think it's going to be that much. But with I don't know, it's just like when Amazon came out and they started delivering all over the place, and the postal, the United States Postal Service kind of took a dive a little bit. But they're still around, and then they came back and started doing deliveries to them on weekends.
That's very true. I guess there is always the possibility that we're not thinking of a scenario. My thought goes to, in order to run a business, you're always looking at the cost versus the profit. And you have to be able to make a profit and afford the cost. And if fuel becomes something at like, let's say $6, $8, $10 a gallon for diesel, which seems astronomical, but $4 a few years ago seemed astronomical. And we were there. So if we were to hit $10 for a gallon of diesel, and now instead of costing $200 or $300 to fill up a couple hundred gallons, now you're talking a couple of grand to transport a truck of cargo across the country. You're talking a few grand. Plus, people are going to want to make more money. That increases cost even more. Delivering a product to a store is going to become so exorbitantly expensive that you're not going to deliver things until they're ordered. And that'll seriously cut back trucks, because they won't be afford to send them without necessity.
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of already the case anyhow, isn't it?
We're sort of getting there. You saw a die down of travel, but people accommodated for the prices by raising the price of the consumer goods to the consumer. That way they could afford the increase in fuel. Now, when the fuel price went back down, the consumer didn't see a relief in the price of the goods. They compiled that money to try and plan for the next. So if gas,
I remember when grocery food, when food, just the cost of food went up, and it stayed there. It most certainly stayed there.
It is not going to go back down either.
No.
It kind of becomes
the economy kind of
socialist country.
The economy kind of shut itself, along the lines of fuel prices and stuff like that. So. Fuel went up, wages slowly went up to kind of even things out so people can continue to survive. And, the dollar itself isn't man, it goes so deep and in so many different, directions. It's like a spider web of...
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely is. And I just see the problem being, as we try to find more efficient, less hourly wage, less employee-operated ways to deliver goods. Trucks are going to become far too expensive, and launching a drone is going to cost them almost nothing. So you can go, instead of going to Walmart, Walmart.com is actually starting to pick up a lot. You would be ordering the item you want, much like Teespring or Streamlabs, like most of us creators do, and then they'll create the item either that day or the next day and ship it out the following day to be efficient and save cost, and not create things that aren't going to be utilized. Not transport goods to sit on a shelf somewhere with no return until those goods come back.
I've also seen developments in electric 18-wheelers that are also automated as well.
Yeah.
It's incredibly efficient. I mean, using no fossil fuels. Although the problem is, though, you end up using fossil fuels to generate the electricity. Right. It's almost like we trade one for the other. We didn't really step up, it really didn't change anything.
Not only that, but before we continue to the next topic, when you think about electric vehicles, some people think they're better for the environment, but you just keyed in on one point where charging your vehicle, you can't be sure of where the charge is coming from unless you're running your own electric plant with your solar panels and everything. Upkeep on that gets expensive.
Yeah.
But let's go back
to the truck. Wind power or solar? Oh, okay.
Let's go back to that truck. In order to put the batteries in that truck to run the electric truck, and then run a tractor trailer at the amount of time a tractor trailer is, you're going to be replacing batteries every few years at a couple of $1,000, and those batteries are not recyclable. They're made of...
And what's involved in the manufacturing of the batteries?
Yeah, manufacturing.
How much petroleum is used in the manufacture?
Yeah, and to think about it, the electric cars actually create a larger carbon footprint than fuel.
Right, overall. I mean, if you're to take like a Toyota Camry and compare, like, you know, from development to actual, like, product and the life of that product, how much, what its fossil, you know, fuel footprint is or carbon footprint is compared to an electric car of the same size, the electric car has got, it really does have a larger footprint overall.
Yeah.
And it's more expensive to run. I mean, overall, you know, those cars are, they're expensive to buy off the bat, and they're less reliable, and maintenance on them. Like, if something goes wrong in those things, like, you need a whole different type of mechanic just to even get in there. They make special, like, these special, like, electrician's gloves that they have to wear so they don't die getting zapped by the batteries and stuff. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. That's extremely high voltage. When they came out, they were cool, but the more you look into it, the more you realize that, while it's a great idea that might have somewhere to go, it's such a large idea and not as well thought through that it is worse than we expected it to be. But we have way
Right. I mean, it's a cool idea. Oh, yeah, probably.
We have to move to the next topic, and what do you think that should be?
Geez, let's go to school.
Let's go to school.
Smart.
I want my kids to go to school. Next
Take the
week.
kiddies to school. Oh, no kidding, that's awesome.
Yeah. Have we begun to believe that school can teach better than parents in all fields?
It depends what school and what field.
There's been reports since January. I've sort of seen a few dozen of them, obviously including the George Soros one that I did a health class sex ed video on, that schools are trying to teach not only basic sex ed to let kids know the potential harm of being sexually active, but now they're trying to teach them alternatives, including how to use sex toys, teaching them things about how to interact with people and how to treat people. And you think this should be something...
The front hole and the back hole.
Right. This should be something parents teach. I've sat down with my son as he started to get into the double-digit years and explain, all right, kid, you know, you're going to be doing things and whatnot. Just remember that you have stuff other people don't always want to see or know what's going on, and you have to keep it to yourself. You know, that moment when you realize your kid knows they have something.
A lot of this stuff, though, too, like, my parents never really sat down and had, like, the birds and bees conversation with me. But, like, I figured it out, like, and just through, like, you know, social interaction, like, you knew what was right, what was wrong, and when to do things, when not to do things. Like, that was part of growing up. Like, you didn't need school to teach you life.
Or you'd come home and you'd tell your parent, whichever one it would be, however it was, that, oh, I have a crush on this person at school. Okay, well, just take it easy. Be smart about it. Don't rush into things.
And that's opening for conversation for that sort of stuff, and that's great. And that's when and how it should happen. We shouldn't be wasting time freaking teaching kids about life when you're teaching them the tools that they need for life. Like, they should be learning life on their own.
Yeah.
You know, not being, like, coddled all the way through and beyond college, for crying out loud.
Well,
you know, some of these college professors.
Yeah. Well, let's not even get there. To make the assumption that a parent can't teach families live in a social order based on a hand down through generations of how that family does things. And when my wife and I got together before we had kids, as we were having kids, we decided how we wanted to raise them. What holidays do we want to celebrate? How do we want our kid to grow up to be the best person we think possible? And then they go to school and they're told Christmas isn't as important, or Halloween isn't allowed, or you're not allowed to do this because it isn't allowed, and you can't refer to this holiday, and you can't celebrate this holiday at school, and you can't call it that. And you're like, wait a second. You're just supposed to teach them math and history. Wait, you really even taught them history. What are you teaching them?
And the things that they're teaching these days, I mean, isn't going to help them in life. And it's all ass backwards. It's all based on feelings rather than facts and reality. And And
Now,
it's gone
I'm
way
not
out
gonna
of control, man.
Yeah, it has. And I'm not going to say that all parents are a good role model, but to take that
Definitely
right
not.
away from the parents without them having done something wrong, to say, no, we're a school, we're going to teach your kids, we're going to rewrite it so that you can't tell us no, we're going to make sure they learn stuff that you weren't going to teach them, and religiously you can't stop us, regardless of the fact that we can't interfere with your religion.
That's a serious violation of, like, personal rights, you know?
It is.
The parents have the utmost right, I mean, you know, within reason, as long as they're not lunatics, to frickin' raise their own children as they see fit, with their own ideals, morals, and religious meanings, you know? It's to try to, like, you know, undermine the parent's position with the child while they're at school is astonishing. It's asinine.
On top of that, I don't know, when I was younger, I heard a phrase said multiple different ways, many times, not just by my parents to me, but from other parents to their kids. If you don't like the way I run my house, get a job and get your own.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And you know what? I know a lot of friends that did exactly that at like 14 and 16. They said, screw you, Mom and Dad. They went out, got a job, and now they're running their own companies.
Yeah.
But,
and that instilled a matter of pride, where if you want to do what you want, you have to be in charge. Until then,
and that's what life is all about. You're responsible for yourself as an individual, especially when you get to a certain age, and like you need to make yourself. You can't rely on other people to freaking like to dance around your pronouns and this, that, and the other bullshit, because nobody fucking cares. Excuse my French. You know, when it comes down to it, everybody, you know, in life, for ourselves in society, it's up to the individual to fend for themselves. And you know what? And everybody's competing with everybody else. So like, you got to toughen up a little bit, you know? Toughen up, Buttercup.
It is kind of about competition, meritocracy. Sure, at certain points you do have to take into account inciting of violence and bullying to an aspect of a violence. Yeah. If you don't learn how to deal with the negative things that come with life, how are you going to survive life?
Especially like the little things, like you hurt my feelings, you misgendered me. It's like, really? Why are you even so concerned about your own gender? Like, why does that define you? Weirdo. You know, I mean, I got my own mental issues, dude. Trust me, I see people and whatnot, but you know, for crying out loud.
All right.
It's just it's so old.
You can think what you want of how I say this, but I have a son, and as we finish out school, one of the things I teach my son at home that I try to get him to carry to school is don't beat up on others. You can protect others, you can defend yourself to any right necessary. And at home, I punch my son in the shoulder. Not aggressively, but I'll walk up to him, do like a 1-inch punch in the shoulder and stand him off. And at this point, and it took a couple years, at this point he turns and he lifts up his hands a little and tries to block, and he'll try to hit me back, and he'll put some force into it. I look at him like, do you got any more than that? Come on. I'm not teaching him to bully others. I'm teaching him,
but you're teaching him to be
What are you going to do?
Yeah. You're thickening his skin, and that's a good thing. He'll, you know, so that, I mean, I don't care what, you know, what genders people prefer, but, you know, if he prefers to be a masculine man, like, that's how you do that. Like, you know, if you fall down, you get hurt, you get up, you don't cry. You know? I mean, I'm not against crying.
I have a rule in my house. My kids don't necessarily like this rule because I say it so much, but if they fall down and they start crying because they scrape themselves, do you see blood? No. Do you see bone? No. Then you're okay. Go back to what you were doing. And that's toughen up. You're going to fall. You're going to get hurt. I was walking in my garage, the light blew, and I hit my head on something, and it hurt for like 3 fucking hours, but it happens. You deal with it. I'm not going to sit there and get mad and destroy the garage because it got in my way. That's all I have. But we need to move on to the next topic. And I will welcome those who came in. Welcome Denny Crane, Ryder. I thought I saw someone else pop in here. The Amish Hitman, welcome with his hugs.
There we go.
All right. So we are on to the next topic. What do you think we should talk about?
What do we got? Let's go with TV.
Let's go with TV. What if they see bones and no blood? Well, you see bone or blood, you should probably get him somewhere to cover that up. Television it is. If a small group of people like a show, should it continue? I think he's in and out there. You got that? If a small group of people like a show, should it continue? And I want to play this on both sides, because we all know what happened with Roseanne. And we know that a lot of people got offended at something that she said and canceled her show, but a group of people liked the show. People were watching it. A large number of people. They were getting good ratings. Shouldn't the show then continue? Shouldn't they try to push it and pull those ratings? And of course, alternatively, what if SJWs put out a show and every member in it was a member of the LGBTQ community and they absolutely love their show, but most people don't watch it. The ratings are good enough to sort of keep it on. They're making money on it, but it's not huge. Should that show continue for them? And of course, I try to weigh it equally, obviously. I want to weigh general population versus a small percentage pie of the population. How do you decide what keeps that show going or if it's worth it? They're here to pick up my trees out front.
Whoa.
So, are you all right over there?
Yeah, I think so. I got so many stupid Bluetooth things dancing around me. It keeps bouncing all over the place. Driving me insane.
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling. If a small group of people like a show, should it continue? That's the question that's on the board right now.
I think so. Why not? If the creator of the show is happy with his, subscriber count, then sure.
Well, I'm even saying let's apply this to a broad category. So we have, let's use two firm examples. We have Roseanne, which a bunch of people liked but was shut down because of ratings, but people still want to watch it, so they're trying to change it and bring it back. Comparatively, we've got shows like Star Trek, which are heavy on the SJW innuendo and trying to push this lesbian, bisexual, transsexual in all aspects of TV and film. Now, there's obviously people that are watching that show. So those who are watching and enjoying Star Trek, shouldn't that show continue for them to show their plot in much the same way that maybe Roseanne should continue for the people who are watching that?
I would agree with that. I think that's fair. I don't necessarily agree with their views, but I agree that they should be able to, watch the shows that they enjoy.
Right. And at the same time, how do you then determine to encompass the whole population? Obviously, not everybody's going to watch a show. So let's say half the population watches a show, which is a ridiculously large number. And let's say a fifth of them are the ones who actually enjoy the show and watch regularly. The rest are just casual viewers. Should that small percentage, that, what would it be, 1/20th of the country, dictate what shows are on because that's what they want to see? Because I've been trying to think of this. We've seen shows literally come and go because of the opinions of the people around them watching the show. Shows, channels, ideas, TV stations. What should be making the effect. Obviously, in the back of my head, it's always going to be cost and profit because it's a business. But that business has to try things and has to push for things. And who are they trying to appeal to? Are you trying to appeal to a specific percentage? Or are you trying to appeal to a broad category? Which would work better?
That's a good question. Jeez.
I was watching a video on how to improve my YouTube channel. Yes, everybody, I want to improve my YouTube channel. I want to get more viewers. I want to have potential income from this, or it just doesn't hold value. That's honesty. If I follow certain trains of thought in growing my channel and I narrow down what it is I talk about to specific categories or specific genres or interests, I'm potentially going to lose 40% of my current audience, but also potentially gain a larger audience more interested in a specific fact. If I stay broad and try to offer a diverse amount of shows that are in the same scope like I do, then can I hit the audience with that? I'm looking for a broader audience, but I'm going to be able to collect less of them. So when you look at television, how do you decide what shows to continue with? Because I use television as a reference for YouTube. When you look at television...
Well, yeah, you would. I mean, that's probably the closest reference you could come to, you know?
So how do I decide? How do I use what television does? Do I aim for the small group of people? Or do I aim for the diverse and just allow the small group of people to exist?
Well, I suppose that really does depend on you. Like, what do you want? Because it is your show. So, I mean, if you want to get really huge, then I guess you'd follow the trends and whatever's really going on and just be that trendy guy. Or you can stick to, I don't know, whatever it is that, makes you and your channel, and you can just stay that way and keep the subscribers that you have. I think that's the better way, because that's like, au naturel type, thing. And it should be easier for you in that sense, because you're just being yourself rather than trying to appeal to the masses.
Very good. Oh, I was just using my channel as an analogy, by the way. Just to okay. Comparatively. But even what I mean? Still, am I trying to aim at a specific sect of the audience, and I'm here providing it for everybody else just because one sect wants to see it? Or am I providing for everybody regardless of that individual sect? That's basically what this comes down to with television. When they decide what to do or how to move a show around based on the audience, you're trying to decide based on what you think your demographic is in the audience and how you're trying to appeal to them. And should the show go on if the appeal is low or you can't find the viewership that you're looking for? But again, you can always compare YouTube channels because they are, like you and I both said, decent comparisons because it's media.
I mean, it depends too. I mean, if you're doing a show, regardless of YouTube or television, I mean, if it's definitely, with television, it's a business and for profit, so that changes everything. But on YouTube, if you're just doing it as a hobby to have fun, that's one thing. But if you're doing it for profit, if this is your job, then you're probably gonna, want to lean towards the way TV works, and appeal to the masses again.
So we are back at this board. We have 4 items down. I think we can potentially hit 2 more on today's show. What's next?
Let's go with technology. Yeah, I love technology. I love it.
Does the existence of technology mean that everyone should be entitled to it?
Oh, damn, that's a good one, man. You make some good questions.
Once in a while, a good one will pop in there.
See, does everyone I'd have to say that yes. I think any invention that one sect of the human species creates that's beneficial to mankind should be used and allowed, and available for all.
All right, so if I have an iPhone in front of me then respectively equal, somebody in Mexico should be equally able to get an iPhone.
I believe so. Yeah, I mean, yes.
What if I have a high-density heat impact laser?
Well, that I don't think everybody. That shouldn't be something that was available to the general public. Maybe restricted to the military and just industrial complexes of governments and things. So in that sense, like I said before, things that are beneficial, that like help humanity, like water cleaning technologies and free electricity, energy, and solar panels and shit like that for people out in Africa or whatnot.
Welcome Beyond Sadness. Denny Crane says, I say hell no. And it goes to when I moved from a phone to a laser. Do I think that everybody in the world should have the same availability to get technology? Yes, but I think that availability should be dependent on the technology, not the demographic of the area.
Yes, thank you. I agree with that. That's the intelligent way of saying what I tried to say.
Let's dumb this down to something that's seriously been on my nerves, and I have to consider it because I pay for these. These are what I consider utilities, but they are still amenities. I have cable and internet, and I have cell phones, and I have electricity and water and gas pumped into my house. I could just as easily have a house with a wood stove, a well, no electricity, candles, and get by. It's very possible to get by without any of the amenities, the things that I pay monthly services for. So does the existence mean that everybody should have them? Should everybody have piped in water and gas and electricity or access to internet and phone? No.
If they can pay to support, the continuing of having such, necessities such as water and electricity and stuff like that. If they can, pay their bills like we do, then they should definitely be able to have access to those sorts of things.
So,
but actually, it's a little weird that they don't, to be honest, I think.
It's what becomes weird is you start to look into this deeper and realize that people without homes somehow still can't, or people with full-time jobs in some areas still can't afford to keep their home, to keep an apartment.
Yeah. That's how it is these days. The middle class is just being stomped on. I mean, I can't even afford an apartment.
The middle class, the 50 percentile, according to the IRS statistics that I've gone over, is roughly $18,000 to $20,000 below the living level of income, below a comfortable level living of income. I just lost him. If he comes back, we'll work with it. If technology is out there, its availability does not necessarily grant you the right to have it. Obviously, I have a cell phone. It is an iPhone, so I have the availability at the time to have gotten it, but currently I probably wouldn't be able to afford one. Actually, I really wouldn't be able to afford one. Does the existence mean that everybody should have one? I don't think somebody living on the government should have any type of cell phone. However, we've kind of made it a point where these utilities, these things that we pay monthly fees for, are exorbitant costs that people can't absorb anymore. Again, going back to that middle line, people are $15,000 to $20,000 below a comfortable living level, according to statistics. The person at the middle class, at the 50 percentile of income, according to the IRS, still makes almost $20,000 less than what would be a comfortable living level to afford to pay for your apartment, your water, all your bills on time, and still have roughly 10% of your wages for frivolous activities. How do I know this? Because I looked up my income. I fall at the 50.5 percentile for my household right now. And that was according to 2014's numbers that I could pull up. I'm still waiting to find the site with the newer numbers. I haven't looked lately. Most people don't understand how a vehicle works, but they still drive it. Ooh, that's very true. Does the existence of cars mean you have the right to have one? Yes. Does it mean you should have one? No. So, it's not necessarily about understanding how it works. It's understanding what it is. This goes back to another topic I really don't want to bring up here, but rights are the ability to do something, not the privilege to do it. You have the right to get a driver's license. Driving is a privilege. You have the right to use the internet. Using a website is a privilege. You have the right to have a phone. Paying for your bill is kind of a privilege. You can't have one without the other. But I didn't really want to get off into the weeds on that topic. However, at the same time, being an American, crossing my mind in the equality sense, is there's technology available to the government that's not available to the people. And that creates an imbalance between the government and people and gives people a feeling that things are being hidden. And I think that's a part of what leans towards conspiracy theories, because I have obviously put a lot of thought into conspiracy theories and the things that happen. We are 5 topics in with 10 minutes to go, and since we lost our faithful sidekick for the day, thank you for joining me. Rest in peace, TA. We are going to leave it to the chat. So the first one to give me the next topic is what I'm going to click. Talk about men in black. The Amish hitman says sex. Are we talking about black men or white men wearing black? Or black suits? Or black men in black suits? Or black men in white suits? Or... I'm lost. Oh, here we go. Is personal masturbation an important part of a relationship? Why do it yourself? Hey! He's back just in time! Just in time, because I need help with this one. TA!
I need help too.
Is personal masturbation an important part of a relationship? Why do it yourself?
Now, sometimes, well, you do it better yourself. There's nobody can freaking beat you unless you're really weird.
I think some people don't realize this. Now, I realize, and we refer to them sort of in a category of prude. There's a lot of people that don't. That it's not a part of their life. Hell, there was a 108-year-old woman that never had sex, but nowhere in that article does it say whether or not she rubbed herself.
She rubbed the shit out of herself. You gotta be kidding me.
In order, this is a feeling I've heard many times and I can pretty much agree with. In order to understand what's going to make you happy, comfortable, and enjoy it, you can't get that from your partner until you know what it is you want.
That's true. I mean, if you're really
I'm
good
hungry,
friends, like...
I want something for dinner. What do you want? I don't know. Well, then I don't know what to make you for dinner.
Exactly.
I'm horny. I want to get off. Well, how would you like it? I don't know. Well, then what am I supposed to do? That kind of thing. And it's really weird when you look at the chat.
That's funny. I was just looking at TC's comment. You can't be accused of rape if you do it yourself.
I raped myself! I did it again! I'm a repeat offender!
Wicked bad. Level 5 sex offender.
I'm the worst on the list. Several times a day, every day. I'm a horrible sex slave to myself. It's terrible.
I gave myself PTSD.
Post-traumatic stroke syndrome. Post-traumatic stroke disorder.
Oh, man. I like that one. That was good.
But honestly, though, I speak as a married man. Every once in a while, even if the wife makes you happy, you still gotta balance that out. You can't, And this goes sort of into the yesterday. You can't expect your wife to do it every time for you just because you want it. And if she will, well, more power to you. But even when my wife was like that, it only lasted so long. And then eventually it's like, but I still want more. I'm sorry, you're going to have to do it yourself. Fine. That goes up and down in a relationship, obviously. But
yeah, I'm back and forth.
Up and down, back and forth, in and out. It's all the same. How do you hold a relationship if people aren't willing to understand their own body? Like, doctors tell men and women all the time, grab your junk, roll your balls around in your hand, look for a spot. If you feel a lump, call a doctor. You know, rub your breast between your hands, use 2 fingers. If you find a lump, call your doctor. We understand
it turned out to be nothing.
Yeah, I've done the same thing. I've been into the doctor for it before because I found something. They're like,
the ultrasound and shit.
Yeah.
I pondered over it for like a month. I'm like, I don't want to go and deal with this, but I don't want to die at this.
You went in quicker
either.
than I did. I went, nah, really? It's probably not. Nah, I'm too young. Nah, it's not. And then I go in like, I got this spot here. The doctor goes, no, you got 3. What? We're going to send you for an ultrasound. What? I'm still in shock. What? I feel my balls all the time. I didn't feel 3 spots.
I had to fucking like twist the thing around and point it out to him. It was so uncomfortable, man. Like holding my nut and they're like poking at it.
So this is where it comes in, and people, this is a really weird conversation to try and have, and I apologize those are a little weirded out by it, but you kind of have to know what you like. You have to know what you're into. You have to know what you enjoy, what you want to try, and what you want to do before you can look at somebody and go, this is what I want. This is how I would like it. Or this is how I would like you to try it. And a lot of people don't think, and I see it coming more from women. Maybe it's more of a publicized, mostly from women thing, that men shouldn't be masturbating, that it's wrong, and that goes back into like Renaissance and 1900s where...
Don't go blind.
Well, I can get to that. Where masturbating was a sin because you were dumping baby batter out that should be, by all rights from God, put into a woman and create a baby. As for
right, it was like blind, the first. It was like the earliest abortion that you could have given, and in Catholicism, that's super wrong.
As for going blind, it is funny you should say that. Welcome, Furry and Finley. Going blind has a very weak correlation with male masturbation, which is funny because masturbation is one of, I think, almost 24 ways that men build protein, gelatinous protein builds up in their eye. And it's something about the way... when you orgasm, the release of the chemicals in your body causes everything to move around. And if you're not getting quite the workout, or it's something about the mental stimulus about it, you can actually go blind if you continuously pleasure yourself far too many times. But it's such a low-risk hazard. It's like 0.001%. So feel free to stroke that shaft all day. Your eyes will work tomorrow.
I got
just
better
don't
than
look at it,
2020,
if you get it in your eye,
the crap out of that thing.
I don't know how many times I've heard this story. Just be careful and don't look right at it, because if you happen to shoot more than that few feet, which apparently is possible because the world record is like 15 feet.
Do not point in the general direction of things you don't want to hit.
It's got acid in it, so don't get it in your eye or anyone else's. That's
damn,
been a public service announcement from the NumbedSkull. Do not put your jizz in anyone's eyes.
My snake spits venom.
And that is the board for today.
Yay!
How do you like that?
That was awesome, dude. That was so much fun. I'm so glad I was able to come on today.
Oh, I'm glad to have you. This goes for anybody. If you watch my show and you would like to try the Great Debate, it is literally just like this every episode, whether I do or don't have guests. If you are the guest, you get to pick the board. If I have 2 guests, it'll go back and forth between you. I have a
All
maximum.
right. I just want to give one shout out to my boy, Yo TC. What up, bro? And, well, that's about it.
And also, while you're here, I want to thank you for being a regular to the show. That's how I listed you in the description. If you have any links,
cool.
do you have a link or a channel or anything, or are you just a heavy viewer?
I'm a heavy viewer, but I do have just a stupid little channel. You can just tap on my little avatar, freaking go there. Stupid little animal videos and whatnot.
All right, I will try and toss that link in the description as I work out my descriptions for the last couple of shows this morning and get everything set up. I'm glad everybody was able to join us today. I hope you're all able to join me for the next show as I continue to work on a lot of different projects. We'll see how I bring it about, and I will post the next show up as soon as I know. Thank you again so much, TC, for joining me today.
My pleasure, bro.
And as we move towards the door, I ask all of my viewers to please
Hit the buttons. The
play
buttons.
with my buttons.
Hit the buttons, peeps.
Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. You guys have a wonderful day.
Peace out.